Welcome to the Save Par Golf Podcast, where two average golfers talk about golf and things. I'm your host, Eric.
Crack my neck.
We
I'm Dominic.
are currently on episode 104, and we have a very special guest tonight. We have Van with Van Neylon Customs. They make custom handcrafted head covers and accessories. If you're not following them on Instagram, make sure to hit that follow button. Their Instagram handle is at Van_Neylon, Neylon_customs. Thank you so much for joining the podcast.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. So let's get right into it. Obviously, you have a really cool page. You've done some really cool things. Can you tell us a little bit about Van Neylon Customs and when you started the company?
So I really started in 2021 is what, like, when I first started playing around with the idea. I mean, it was a mix of wanting something that wasn't available and actually just buying a product that I wasn't happy with. You know, I got an expensive product that I wasn't happy with, and it was kind of one of those, there's got to be a better option, or, you know, I'm going to figure out how to make what I want to make. So I'm technically an engineer, and it has nothing to do with like sewing, but I've worked with a ton of different mediums. I restored cars for 15 years. I mean, I was a car guy for my whole life, pretty much. And I went to school for engineering, did custom woodworking, and built custom furniture. So I've worked in a ton of different mediums. But my mom has been a seamstress, a hobbyist forever. So it was actually when this kind of incident and the idea hit me, I was on a road trip going to see her. So I talked to her about it, and we worked out some patterns, played around with it for a bit, and it kind of got shelved for a little bit, and came back to it like 6 months later, and came home, gathered up a little bit of stuff, and just started making stuff. I had some patterns. I was familiar with sewing. Like, I've been around it forever. It's not like my main hobby, but I've been around it, did auto upholstery, even in furniture world, had to know a little bit about textiles. And just started playing, and it's just grown and evolved from that, really. And it's still growing and evolving. This year I probably became more serious about it. In 2022, it was more experimenting and working with friends, and it was just small starting off. So this year has been even more of just kind of an experiment and playing around with a lot of different ideas, and kind of coming back around with everything and focusing in for next year too.
Do you have any previous experience in the golf industry itself? And you talked about you're an engineer and you've had some obviously experience with using a sewing machine and all that, but anything in the golf industry?
No, I mean, I'm almost 38. I started golfing when I was 18. I started golfing at the end of high school. Most of my youth I spent as like a skate rat, BMX kid. I was kind of a hoodlum. So golfing picked up with a bunch of other kind of trash ball friends. Um, but other than that,
Trash
no.
balls, friends, I love it.
When I went back to college as an adult, like in my late 20s, early 30s, and the only experience with golf was actually writing a paper about some equipment fallacies, about marketing, and about how they're not really changing things, how sometimes it's literally the club gets a facelift, it's the same thing as last year. So I did write a little bit of research into golf equipment as part of my engineering studies, but that's about it as far as like anything in the golf business per se.
Okay. That's pretty interesting. I mean, I feel like for the most part, I kind of picked up golf too, like right around that 18 years
Yeah.
of age mark too. And I think it's pretty cool and unique the fact that like we've talked about this so many times, but like the golf industry itself is definitely revolutionizing. It's changing. You talked about being a BMX in the skateboarding and all that, and I feel like that generation is also kind of transitioning into the golf, tapping into the golf industry as well.
Literally what I did.
Yeah, And
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, definitely,
yeah,
the landscape is changing. And I mean, even me, I'm not necessarily like a button-up polo kind of guy. I'm not a dress shirt, it's not
sure.
always me. So even when some of the new stuff kind of started coming in 4 or 5 years ago, the little bit of lifestyle brand, alternative lifestyle branding started coming into golf, I was a little skeptical of it, but now I'm a lot more open to it because it does bring in and allows a lot more diversity and people to see it's okay. You don't have to dress or be a certain way to participate in the sport. So I do think it's changing a lot. What people want just out of the game too, I think is changing a lot. And I don't know, it's interesting. Um, and that's like a whole topic, and like a whole
For
crazy
sure.
topic in its own, really.
Uh, go ahead.
Speaking of that, like for those of you who only listen to us, I'm currently wearing a crew neck that has Michael Jordan smoking a cigar that says "Play More Golf."
I love
I
it.
think it's probably the best piece of like golf wear anybody can wear. No buttons, no polo, no zippers. It's literally
Yeah,
just Michael with a cigar and a bucket. Like, what more could you want?
Comfortable sweatshirt.
Yeah, and it's golf related.
yeah,
Like, there's so many cool things you can wear for golf now. Granted, I don't think you go to like a country club with this bad boy on, but
Probably not, but
I mean, if we're talking about it, it's from Tee Up Kicks with Chris. So
mhm.
for Chris's sake, I'm gonna go to a country club with it and try to smoke a
yeah.
cigar.
And I really, I personally don't like a lot of the stuffiness that's around it. And there's times when you just have to, you go do it. You go into certain places. You play by the rules. You dress up. But what's nice is I think nowadays versus 10 years ago, there's a lot more options for people, or things are even just more acceptable than they were 10 years ago showing up to the country club, because there are some places that certain types of hoodie styles, athletic hoodies, are, it's sportswear, it's acceptable, so you can probably get away with that. 10 years ago, you wouldn't have been
Probably
able
not.
to. So it is shifting. Sometimes it's slow. But like me, my normal golf outfit, people say joggers. I wear like a Trek pants, so it's not a super tight jogger. Um, but like that and a hoodie or a t-shirt is my normal golf attire. I don't play a lot of country clubs. If I do, I'll put a shirt on. Hopefully it's fall or winter. I like sweaters. I'm a sweater
Yeah,
guy. And get away with a lot with a sweater.
I agree. Uh, can you tell us a little bit about the name? So we talked before we hopped on air here. So Van Neylon Customs. Just tell us a little bit the backstory of how you kind of created that name.
Uh, you know, really, wanted something, like I said, a little bit of it came from a little bit of a joke, inside joke with some friends, a little bit of an inside joke with family, but really it's a family name. It's a part of my son's name. And so set the joke aside, really, it's about creating something that I can leave for him one day, leave for, that my kids like.
Sure.
That's kind of part of why I have it as that name, like a motivation for me, like, hey, this isn't just for you, it's, you're working towards something for the future. um so like I said, the little bit of a joke, or kind of my nickname, is part of it, but really when it comes down to it, that's what it is something, it's family based.
Sure. I love that. No, that's awesome. I like that whole how you kind of said it, it's not just for you, but hopefully, kind of inspires you for your child as well. So that's I like that. It's well put. Um let's kind of talk about the business side of things. So you said you started at kind of 2021. Um so you started this. What has been like the toughest part of starting your own company?
The same being, I think part of that in this is just making a decision. As odd as that sounds, because you don't know what people are going to want. You don't always know. Like if you're making something to sell, like you don't know what people are going to want, and they don't always want to see the same thing. So I think just being being um being sure of yourself and your own decision. That's honestly like the hardest thing is just like believing in yourself to keep going. But for me, really, I've been, like I said, I've been in the golf world forever, just navigating a new space, and feeling your way around. It luckily it's not necessarily my first business and my first attempt at running or starting a business, but finding a new market. I mean, that's going to be the hardest thing, finding your place. I think that, but I think really when you talk to other people, it's believing in yourself. That's the hardest thing. And that's what you have to do first, because especially when you start, not that many people are going to believe in you. The first handful of things you make aren't going to be as nice as you want them to do. And so you have to be okay with like the first dozen things you make, the quality is not what you want it to be. And you have to be okay with that. If not, you're not going to go back to making it. So I just believing in yourself. That's the hardest thing. After that, I mean, I don't know. There's some of it that's easy and there's some of it that's not. Me though, as like an honesty, I'm one person. So I can make that really nice, beautiful product, but at the same time, the work's not done there. I have to still take pictures and I have to put it out there. So it's all difficult, in a way. Like I said, there's things that are easy and it's all difficult, but I think for anybody, it's just getting started. That's like the hardest thing for most people to do. And you hear all that stuff about it, this many people start doing something, only 10% of people start creating something. And out of those, that 10%, only 10% keeps creating something. Most of those people stopped believing in themselves or what they're doing. I mean, that's the hardest thing.
Yeah, I'd agree.
Yeah, our first couple pods were a mess, I would say. We did a handful of practices.
Yeah, kind of like some test runs.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean everything you said is spot on. You look at there are so many people that make head covers and stuff like that, but I feel like a lot of them just don't have like that substance to them.
Yeah.
You got to be willing and wanting to put yourself out there to an extent, right? Like in your case, it's hey, I made this and I can make this, and in my opinion, they look pretty damn good. Um,
Thank you.
but you have to want it. You know what I mean? Like there's a want, there's a desire. Things don't happen overnight.
Right. And I think when I ask like the toughest part about starting your own company, like it's kind of a loaded question because like like what you said is spot on. It's like actually just believing in yourself and doing it. Because I think
Yeah.
those two things are probably the most important part. But you'd also mention, you do everything. You're kind of the solo guy, right? So you have not only are you making this product, you obviously have to talk to the customer, one on one. You have to post videos, you have to create content, and then you have to respond to emails and shipping. So there's an abundance of things that you
Oh
have to
yeah,
do
yeah.
as but I think you nailed it. That is the first part, and I think that those things scare people to do that, and that's why I think that's probably the most important thing is just doing it.
Trying things
It,
is scary.
Yeah.
Like
and it really is. And I still hit little hiccups here and there. Um, when I first started, I started with mostly just all wool material. I still love it. I still work with it. I'm actually kind of separating the two because I don't want it to get lost in the mix and it kind of has its own place. Um, but that's what I started with. And now, if you saw the box of projects I have for like the next probably month or so lined up, it's all insane. It's all
Sure.
completely
I'd
different.
imagine.
So every material's different. Every material moves differently. Um, they all scrunch, they all stretch. It's all, so it's learning that too as I go and being able to be adaptive with that. When it comes down to it for like just a driver, You know, I got some sitting here, but like
Oh,
a
nice.
driver,
The other day.
Yes, that's
I
sweet.
I have 6 different templates for that, for just the, a 460 driver, depending on what material it is. So that's how kind of precise and intricate I'm trying to get with everything. There is a little bit of chasing perfection with a few things with it. Um, but me personally, I just know that things can be done to a higher standard. So I kind of hold myself to that with most things I do. Um, and and there's been a lot of experimentation to kind of get it to how I have them. And it's one of those things like with my product, it's genuinely you really need to hold one to like kind of feel the difference, because you can see that it's not wrinkly. Like I don't flat pack my stuff. My stuff can't go in a poly mailer. I have to put it in a box because they're semi-structured. So it's just, the product's a little different and it's a little more refined than kind of the industry standard. And I don't know if that was kind of my engineering background or just a perfectionist that kind of took over with that part of it though too.
Is there we're talking about materials and everything. Is there one that you just hate to work with?
I love that. I had a similar question, which I like. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I stole it.
so
No, you did. Okay.
something so there's not much like quite a few things I have already worked with or can or don't mind are difficult. Something I don't want to work with is silk. Like silk stuff, it's so thin, the way it moves. Um, Not for me. There's not really much use for it. I mean, if someone really wanted, I'll figure it out. If someone really wanted something, but silk, I did, and there's one on there. I did a Kith puffer jacket. It was a nightmare to work with. It just made a god awful mess. But the next time I go and do one, I kind of figured out some things with that and how to not make a mess. But the same, like a puffer jacket, to be able to keep the feathers in without it poking out through the outer layers, there's actually 4 layers of material in there, so keeping that from moving around while you're working with it, super difficult. Um but there's not much that I'm afraid of, really. I've most of the general stuff I think that people are going to send me, I can work with.
How many covers do you get out of like one? If we sent you a jacket, is it just one cover, or
It,
how many
so
can you?
it, so it all depends. So it all depends. Like the camo is an odd example because like the camouflage, like one camouflage shirt, if it's a large shirt, I can get 3 or 4 items out of it. But like the polo sweaters, I mean,
Yep.
it's one
One.
sweater, one shirt, and I've saved all the other knit material for some other ideas. But yeah, like something like that, it's I get one out of it because there's only one emblem on it.
Sure.
Now things like some, because there's other stuff I haven't posted on there, never did, or um, even a few projects like I have coming up that someone sent me. I want to get more out of an item. So I'll go and find some vintage patches or something to add some extra embellishment to get more out of that main jacket. So there is so it's like if you're looking at something and there's literally, like there's one pocket, one crest, but there's tons of material, talk to me. I can figure something out. We can figure something out to add to it, or there's always an option. But it really depends on the material, the item, and so that kind of dictates cost. What the cost of a project will be. um but yeah, so like it all depends on the item itself and what I can get. But yeah, most shirts I can technically get usually 2 items out of safely, sometimes 3. But they might be a little boring. Like I said, it just kind of all depends on what I'm trying to get out of it.
I have a couple favorites, unless you want to keep going,
No,
but
no,
I
go
don't
ahead.
really
No,
care.
absolutely no. You're good.
So I know we talked about this already. I love the Hornet starter
Mhm.
jacket with the zipper pocket.
That's probably my favorite.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
I'm literally like I'm on eBay, Timberwolves jackets, like just get me one.
Yeah.
Um, and then I think a sleeper one that's one of my favorites is I like the Tyson Lamb towel.
I had that one on
That,
here too. Yeah,
and
those are
and
two.
I got I have a couple more of those coming up that you'll see from customers. And then just one that like one of the first kind of ones that actually did really well with like moving away from just the standard material was uh the BB and F Co towels. So I actually am working with Patrick on a collab right now, and we'll have a pretty large batch of those towels hopefully by Christmas. I want to have them ready for Christmas. But I like the towels and the towels kind of what's different too is everyone that sent one to me so far has just loved them because like I said they come back structured, you know. It's like I said, you know, this is made from a work shirt, you know. I mean, it's not floppy. So the same, you send me a towel, you're getting back this. It doesn't. It's still a towel, but it doesn't feel like, you know. It has a feel to it again. But it's kind of a unique way to preserve that too, you know. And the same, I did some more military. That was kind of one that I still do, and I don't post a lot of them. Because I don't want it to be like too repetitive, you know, I don't want it to be too
Sure.
repetitive on the page. But like those I really like doing too. But I like just doing whatever, you know, I like I like the personal projects, to be honest with you. Like when people are sending me like a personal item, you know, the golf towel, some of it that people have sent me, it's cool. But I like doing the personal projects. Um, you know, or just knowing like that's when someone's getting something back, they're smiling. You know, that was always kind of just a reward in anything I did. But with this, I have kind of found a satisfaction, like the firefighter one that I did, the bunker
Yep.
gear one. Like that one was like one that was just kind of like touching to me because, um, you know, doing something nice for someone that puts their life on the line for their community, and it's not so much that it was like a local, um, per se. Like it's from about an hour and a half away, but it's still Ohio. And like at where he's from, I used to drive through there every day for like 2 years. Um, so some of those just they feel extra personal to me too.
How long does it typically take to sorry. Yeah, how long does it
No,
typically
no,
take to like make a batch or like said the like for the Hornets for example, how long does that typically take?
It makes me wish
I'm
that I
getting I'm
bought a Half Moon Bay towel.
No, it'd be sick, man.
I'm getting so as I go, you know, the same. Like I just listened to you guys talk with Tyler,
Mhm.
you know, Lowry, with the putters, you know, the same. As I go, it gets easier as I do more. The starter jackets, I ruined a couple of jackets learning how to do it. And I kind of sometimes, you know, they say practice with like junk material. I don't always believe that because if you're not working with the exact material when you go to do it with that material,
Yep.
still might not be right. So the starter jackets, I messed a couple up figuring things out how to work with them. But now I like to do those like it's I'm not going to say it's a whole day project, but I like to try and be super precise with those. My process is getting better, but I would say that it takes a chunk of my day up. I'm not, like I said, I'm not going to say like one of the starter jacket ones is going to take a whole day, but 3-4 hours probably. If I'm moving quickly. But like I said, there's a lot of precise cuts. Like if you watch the video of that one, or even some,
Mhm.
you don't see every step of, you know, you don't see every step of
Yeah,
the
you don't get everything,
process.
sure.
But like with that, it was like there's some math involved, and just being super careful lining things up. So it probably like that, yeah, probably a couple hours, 3-4 hours. The first few I did, they did take me almost a whole day. But part of that, like, just becoming more comfortable with actually taking apart those items, like learning how to take apart this a front pocket starter jacket and how to get it apart quickly. um and because that's always like the most delicate part really of that, is making sure I don't tear into that, getting it apart.
We have this really old vintage like duck camel Carhartt coat, and I think it was my great grandpa's. It's super like worn in, has the old brass buttons, the corduroy collar. I don't think I'm ready to like cut it up, nor I think my dad would let me cut it up.
Yeah,
But that thing would be unreal. I'll have to send you pictures when I later
yeah,
on this
yeah,
week.
definitely. you
Um,
know
it's just
and
super like vintagey type stuff.
like even with that, like the same next week, I'm working on a box of someone's grandpa's shirts. They didn't know what to do with them, and they're like, they're just gonna get ruined sitting and bouncing from closet to closet or going in the attic. So he sent me a box of grandpa's shirts to just turn into, a little collection of head covers for them. I did one person's grandpa's Navy uniform. That one I didn't post, just it was kind of sentimental, so I kind of left that one be. Um, but it's I think what I'm doing too is a good way to preserve some of those items that just get shoved into the closet. And yeah, it's going to go out on the golf course, but yeah, if you got an extra golf bag, maybe you just want to have it be a little decoration. How many people in their office have, an extra set of clubs in a bag or something. So it's also, some of them are a little piece of artwork or a good way to remember something or an event and set it aside too. Um, I look at it that way. Like I said, those are kind of the projects too I like to get come by me.
Do you ever thrift like materials at all? I know I'm assuming most people send it into you, but like even like on your own stuff that you do
So so I do. The problem, in all honesty, with if I didn't have kids, I probably would be more in the thrift shops looking for other stuff. But at the same time, you can go to the thrift shop. I can go hit up every single thrift store in like a 20, 30, 40-minute drive from me and not find anything good for a day. I can spend 5, 6 hours hunting around. So I do. I hit up eBay. I've made a few friends on the internet too, so there's a few people that I can ask if they have, like with the polo stuff. Like I wiped out eBay a few months ago and caused my own inflation issue. Like in all honesty, I caused my own spike in sweaters. So I go on eBay, I look for stuff. Like I said, I got a few collectors, a few friends that are into thrifting. So I'm starting to pull from other things, but when I'm looking for something, like right now, if I have an idea, I just hit eBay. I'm hitting eBay. I have a few, there's other thrift and, used and reseller sites and all that kind of stuff. So when I get an idea, yeah, I hit the internet looking for what I can find. And sometimes I could, like I said, it's rare right now that I really go out and try and have like a thrifting day. It just unfortunately doesn't fit into the schedule right now.
Moral of the story, don't have kids.
I love them, but I mean, just be ready. They take up a
Yeah.
lot of time. They take up a
Well,
lot of time.
I'd imagine. Not only that too, like thrifting too is like kind of that.
Super hit or miss.
Well, yeah,
Yeah,
that
yeah.
and like thrifting has been around for obviously a long time, but I feel like that kind of that thrifting, like the old vintage stuff is like really in right now. So it's like even harder sometimes that,
A lot of competition, a
yeah,
lot of,
exactly.
and some stuff is just so seasonal too,
Mhm.
like the same starter jackets that I have had saved in my eBay watch list that were $40 when I put them in there. It's wintertime. Browns are doing okay. That thing's $70 now, 80, So
Yep.
you have some seasonal, peaks. Golf equipment's the same way, Uh so yeah, it's going with that. I have and the same. I have people on my list that want something, but finding that item might take a few months. Like if you want a
Use.
real specific, and if someone wants something and they don't have the time to find it on eBay, get a hold of me. If you say I want this athletics jacket, send me a picture of it. I'll spend the time I'll put it in my search history. So it's like if you have something and you don't have the resources or don't want to spend the time looking, that's also part of my job too. And I'll do that because I know what sizes work best for shrinking something down, because that's the other thing trying to talk to people about too, is unfortunately not everything can be upcycled into, because we're talking about something that we wear, into a 12-inch tall item. So it takes a little bit of uh, the skill I'm starting to develop, to say, to be able to just look at a picture and say if that's a large, an adult large, that's perfect. So sometimes me hunting for the item, I might find it, because I have had people send me the wrong size. They're like, I thinking that I'm gonna upcharge them too, because like I'm not, I'm not gonna. If the jacket costs $75 and I found it, you're gonna pay $75 for it. I'm not gonna charge you, say it's $120 and then hit you with my service charge. You know what I mean? So
Sure.
and that's just yeah. I mean, yeah, yeah, that's how that is. But yeah, if someone wants to, if someone wants me to find something, like I said, I do have the eye for what works, what's going to work. But yeah, like I said, it's part of a little secret too that I have of knowing what to look, of knowing what to look for, and like I said, how to shop for that kind of stuff too.
Kicking myself because when I was writing the post on Instagram this morning, I couldn't think of what word I wanted to use. Upcycle. That was the
That
damn
was the
word.
word.
I was like, creator of, and I sat there and I'm like, I don't want to say recycled. I don't want to say handmade because it sounds kind of boring. I'm like, ah,
You
I
can
don't.
always change it now.
Well, that's too late now. Upcycled's the word.
Have you ever really had like a really odd request, or like what's like been the most unique request?
Uh I have some luxury items, in like serious luxury items in a box. I mean, those are just extreme. To be honest, I have a couple of Furbies in a box right now.
Really?
So
How's that work?
yeah, uh well, you'll see. And I was actually kind of it was just someone kind of triggered a weird thought in my head, and so we'll see. I know I can like make it come to fruition.
Sure.
I'm not going to divulge the whole thing, but there is a pro out there. If you type it in, there's a pro out there that has some Furby head covers, and so someone wants a version of that, and I looked at it and I
Gotcha.
said, yeah, I can do that. And then I actually just kind of became obsessed with the idea of like, yeah, actually I need to violate that Furby with a golf club. So
They were a
so
craze for quite some time.
I found
yeah,
out I am
yeah.
now older than a Furby.
Yeah, they've been around.
98.
You know, I haven't had anything, too crazy. And to be honest, I think how my kind of customer base has started is that it's just the golf community. I mean, I haven't run a single ad. You know, I don't have a huge page either. I haven't run a single ad. But I feel like I have a real genuine following because it's built from the golf community. You know, I'm a member of the golf community. I've supported a lot of creators and makers and you know for the past couple of years, and they supported me back. And so like I said, you know, a lot of people um that yeah, that follow me, that interact with me are really good people. I haven't had one single bad cut, you know, some people say, oh, I've had someone that's difficult to work with. I haven't, you know. Um, so I do really like that. I haven't had a lot of like genuinely crazy requests yet. Yeah, I'm waiting for it.
I'm looking at
But
some right now.
So
but I'm
I'd imagine
starting
it'll.
but I'm starting to get just way more unique items. You know, I have like I said, I just kind of closed the books down for the rest of the year because I want to try and I really have like I have a few long projects like that. Like I have one that I probably have 30 hours into, and I don't even know how to describe, but it's like a quilting project. And yeah, it's probably genuinely about 25, 30 hours invested into it. Um, and that's like, you know, something I wouldn't even know how to charge for really, but it's something pretty cool. You know, so there's just lots of odd stuff. No, like I said, no crazy requests. Um, the luxury items are kind of interesting because it's just one of those things like I I haven't cut into $1,000 handbag yet.
Just
So
say, yeah,
you know, so I had, you know, so it's like you kind of have to sit on this for a second and it's like, okay, take your time, you know, really map out like a game plan of what I'm going to do before I take my knife to it.
I was showing Derek I had a PVC latex trench coat idea.
Like the
Dexter
GIMP
themed.
cup. Yeah,
extra
yeah,
thing.
yeah.
I like that. Do you get like more nervous like working on something like obviously you said you haven't like cut into like I don't want to say what brand it is, but
I
a
don't think
high
I
end.
could I don't think I could make myself cut into like a Gucci bag or
Well, there's yeah, like some of those like Louis Vuitton bags have been around for a while. It could be an old bag, and maybe I mean they still hold
Yeah.
their value, but
Oh
like
yeah.
I would
yeah,
be petrified.
not only like for me like if I had the bag to like send it to you, not that I couldn't wouldn't trust you, but I'd imagine like on your side, like you said, like you have to be very careful with your cut, and it's not just like
I would question the person. I'd be like, "Are you sure?"
yeah.
Like,
Well, it's just like
At first, yeah, but you know, it's one of those. It's the same. It's just one of those things. Like, you can't always be scared. You know, you just can't
mm,
always be scared. So for me, like, I've at least like touched Gucci bags and Louis Vuitton bags, so I know what they are. I know what the material is. But for this process, so say like it's just even for a potential customer out there. Um, Even with this, you're gonna send me a message. You can email me, send me a message. Tell me what you have going on. Send me some pictures of it. I might ask you to hold a ruler up or a tape measure so I can get a visual size of it. Um, if I know I can work with it or almost 100% certain, I'm gonna have you send it to me. And as soon as it gets in, I'm gonna look at it and evaluate it. If I know I can work with it, it's gonna get stashed away in some boxes, get set, you know, gets nice and sealed up and set away. Um, and if it's not something I think I can work with, I'm just gonna be honest with you and send it right back. Because the same, that's like the last thing I want to do is cut up a family heirloom, something that's important to you, and then not be able to not be able to send you back a finished product. That would be like my worst nightmare. And I would never do that. So yeah, it's gonna be like a little nerve-wracking, but like I said, I've cut into just enough stuff. I work with enough, and like I said, I know what it is. There's a slight, I'll have to make a slight modification like in my assembly process, but I've been through this enough with enough unique materials that I know how to make the change on the fly. You know, there's one, like I said, there's one part in my process that I might have to change something with that particular material, but other than that, nothing else gets affected. So if there is a problem, I already have the solution. So I do feel good about that. Like I said,
Well, that's
I've
good.
cut up and experimented enough that I'm not afraid of too much.
Do you have you ever had to turn down something like you get it in the mail and you're like, you know what,
Yeah,
this
yeah. I
material
mean,
is
yeah, definitely. A few things that people had sent me that I thought were just like maybe dirty, you know. There were a couple that, and there's a couple that what people wanted, I just couldn't get out of it. Like if a logo's too big, you know. So that's like I said, if you have something in mind, shoot me a message. I'll talk to you
sure.
about it. And if you really want to shop on your own, I'll tell you what you need. I'll tell you the pertinent, you know, points as to what to look for. Um, the main things that I've had to turn down are actually golf towels that are actually too big. That the graphics might be too big or they're oriented the wrong way. And I can't really get anything out of it, or I don't want to cut into a graphic. You know, I don't want to cut into, like, if you're sending me something for a jacket, I don't want to cut, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I don't want to cut
Yeah,
into
yeah, that
certain
makes sense.
logos. Yeah. So I actually have had to turn down, it seems more in the past probably month or so, more than I have in the past 6 months. But yeah, it's just been a lot of stuff that was either just the wrong, just the wrong size. But yeah, a lot of towels that are just the wrong orientation, really, to get a driver out of, or just to get what they want out of.
I know your books are closed, like you mentioned for the year. But do you charge like on a per cover basis depending on like the actual material, or do you have like a flat standard rate that you
So
charge?
it's a little bit of both. As I go, I with some of these projects, the more complex they are, of course, the more it's going to be. So like a towel, like a golf towel, it's just a flat $75 fee. It's standard, and that includes your tax and shipping back to you. So those are like super standard. That's something the same, that granted my wait list is gets backed up, but those are quick projects too. Um, but they're a little more easy, and like I said, it's a basic item for me as far as like process goes, so it has a flat fee. As I
Sorry to interrupt.
go,
What
I'm
was the price though? Dom's good, I think, but he was having a coughing attack a little bit. I couldn't hear.
no, it's okay.
Choked on my
And
hair.
so like so if you send me a towel,
Yep,
or like, so if you send me a golf towel or a pin flag, it's $75.
okay.
That's your tax shipping back to
Not bad at
you.
all.
And it's a
We
few
need
extra
custom pin
bucks.
flags.
Hmm.
And it's a few extra dollars too, but I send it back with extra insurance, and like I said, I don't flat pack my stuff. So everything gets sent in a crush proof box. So my shipping cost is a little more than some people. But I make sure to put extra insurance on it, because if you sent me a towel, and something happens, once I ship it out, it's on me. So there's a few extra bucks with a couple of things. Um, or a few items every once in a while. You might be like, oh, I don't know. But yeah, $75. And like you said, I personally think that that's a pretty good rate for the service that I provide, and like I said, it's your tax and shipping included. So I try and keep it fair too. And that's one of the things too with this, is trying to keep a really good price point with some of the custom stuff. If I make it, I still have to get my hourly rate, or like those polo sweaters. They're not super cheap to begin with. So, you know, in all reality, I'm working one cover with just the cost of that sweater. If I spent it on wool, I could get 8 or 9 covers out of it, you know? So it's like, so it's gonna have to be a more expensive item. But to be honest, I would almost dare anyone to try and make those the way I do. And it's just, it's something super unique. So you're paying for it. With the wool stuff, my real intention with that is genuinely to, and what I'm going to kind of campaign for this next year is to try and actually change what the industry standard is, quality wise and price wise. Um, it's been a little internal debate with me, but I genuinely feel what most people sell is a little overpriced. And it's not to disparage anyone's work. I think it comes from most businesses trying to get the highest yield out of, trying to get the biggest return on investment.
Yep.
But I think in certain areas in the industry, the quality has gone down, and maybe people have just been a little unchecked in their position. But I genuinely think, like, and the way that I can put it in like a simple business standpoint is, I'm one guy with zero buying power, and if I can offer it at my price point, and I understand other companies have marketing and they're paying employees, but the price point doesn't make sense to me because I have zero buying power and they have more buying power to purchase material at a lesser rate than I do.
Yeah.
I genuinely think that they overcharge probably by 25-30% just right off the top. And there's marketing reasons into that too, because that's how you have your Black Friday sales, your 4th of July, your President's Day sales. A lot of companies rely on those sale days, and that's just even in like the apparel world too. They rely on these key sale days throughout the year. I don't want to operate like that. And but like I said, I genuinely think there's a lot of things in the golf market that are worth the price you pay. And then there's some stuff out there that's not. So that is kind of like the intention is to provide a higher quality price at a better price point. The custom stuff, it's harder to do that with because, like I said, the nature of the items. But I try to keep it fair. I want everyone to have really cool shit. That's it. I mean, like I said, I'm a normal dude. I don't come from money. I had to learn how to make my own cool shit. But I want everyone to have cool stuff at just the most affordable price point that I can make it at. And like I said, it's led me to really believe some of these other people could come back down, or they need to bring their quality up.
Does most of your business
Well,
come from
hold on.
Insta? Oh,
I'm trying to think of how I want to word it. $75, that's not bad. You look at what, I'm not going to say names because if they want to sponsor us, I'm down.
Yeah,
But some people are charging, like big box companies, right? Like no, like nothing custom. I paid like $55 for one of my head covers, and I would have gladly paid the extra $20 if they were made with, I hate saying made with love, but like I can tell you like actually like doing it. So
I
yeah, I'll
do.
pay the extra $20 to have somebody sit there, design it, cut it, make it with their hand, and care about the product that I'm gonna get versus just spend $55 on something that just looks cool, and then you're like, well, yeah, no, 45 other people have this same product.
Yeah, and like I said, it's one of those things. Like, I don't want to, like the same. I'm not going to like ever like talk bad about anybody, anything. I think, and it's just, it's mainly the price point to me. I think it's probably a general consensus you guys hear and you see a lot too, that golf is expensive. And this is just one of those items when it comes to like kind of some of the standard items, standard leather, standard wool. I just think that they're a little overpriced, and that that the bigger companies don't put the same attention into it, because like I have to make money too. Like I'm not gonna say that I'm not a business. I still have to operate as a business. Um, but I think that a little bit of like the love and the passion isn't there in the product, you know. Um, and I just like to maybe see that more out of companies. I mean, it's one of those things. If you want change in something, you kind of have to hold people responsible and make a statement about it, you know. And I didn't want to do that at first, but I genuinely think through the support of a lot of my customers, I just genuinely think that that's kind of the right thing to do, is to put it out there in that manner too. So the same, like if you want wool or your traditional kind of stuff, the same, you message me, and there's like 200 options just from the Harris Tweed collective that I can pick from. So it's a tailored experience. You message me, I'm going to see what you're into, what you like, what kind of colors you like, send you a bunch of options to choose from, and the same, like you said, make sure that you're not just picking off of the website something that you like, but you tell me what you want, and I'll make sure that you get it and find you the closest thing, or, if I have to, I'll put multiple things together to get you what you want.
I think a patchwork wool or patchwork wool plaid would be super cool.
And I
Just
save
kind of
all my
spitballing.
the same. I've been saving scraps for like 2 years for that same, for that same thing. So there's a bag of project stuff. So one day I'll sit down and, construct out a couple like that too. Um,
Patchwork with like the zigzags for
That'd be
the
pretty cool.
stitching. Don't
yeah,
steal
yeah.
my idea unless you send it to me.
Send me a message. Send me a message.
Is there anything else you want to ask before we do some rapid fire questions?
No, I've asked all my questions.
Okay.
Unless I think of one halfway through the rapid fire questions.
All right. So what we'll do here, just because we're kind of wrapping up here, but we'll just
Yeah,
do
yeah,
some
yeah.
rapid fire questions. They're not really rapid fire, but we try to make them rapid fire, and then we'll do a food question, and then we'll pretty much conclude the episode. But first rapid fire question is, what cover are you using right now that you've made?
So like right now, I actually got one like right here too. Like I said, I brought a little box, but like it's so hard to tell. It's like a rainbow fleck on this black
That's pretty
wall.
cool.
It looks like
It's
stars.
yeah, it's super basic. So like I have one of those, and give a shout out to this lady Maggie. Her name is Maggie from Austin Nitty Limits. Like even in my story, I have one because someone asked that question too. Um, I almost always have one of her hand knit covers in on my bag. So it's like I'll usually have one of mine, and I usually have one of her little wool ones. She made me some Buzz and Woody knit themed Toy Story knit
Yep.
cover. So I like almost always have one of hers. But yeah, I'll usually have one of mine and one of hers.
I like it. You have a chance to win $50,000. You get Steph Curry to hit a 3-point shot, a field goal kicker, any kicker to hit a 40-yard field goal, or Tiger Woods to sink a 10-foot putt.
We should try to make it Cleveland related.
Oh, no good nothing. I'm
I
not
was
a
gonna say,
Cleveland
I
sports.
mean,
I'll
Jose
say I'm not a
Ramirez is
real
a
Cleveland.
stud. He knocked out Tim
I
Anderson
mean,
pretty good too.
yeah, you're putting the money on Tiger out of that for sure.
yeah, okay, that's kind of what I figured. I think the last we had the
Oh, I'm
Steph
picking
Curry,
Steph.
yeah, for the
Yeah.
3-pointer.
I mean, Steph's probably gonna make it too. Yeah, I think that's a
Yeah,
sure shot there too.
yeah. Um,
I'm taking anything Jose Ramirez though.
what is your favorite snack on the course?
You know what? Probably, uh, honestly, Planters heat peanuts, not the Cajun spice, but just heat. It's just the heat ones, and probably beef jerky. That's probably just like the simplest, like just go to snack there.
Early morning golf or twilight golf?
Huge benefits to both. like if you would have asked me last year, it would have been like not this past season, but the year before, it was all twilight. This year, it has had to be early morning because that's the only way to get the rounds in for me for the most part now is get them out in real early in the morning.
You play quite a bit. Like, obviously, you have kids and you have this business as well. I mean, do you get out like once, twice a week or once every couple of
Yeah,
weeks?
yeah.
Or
So last year I was blessed up, and hopefully my wife doesn't like listen to this. But last year, um, when like there's that guy in like Wisconsin or whatever that always plays like 19,000 rounds, plays a
Yep.
ridiculous amount of golf, sets a Guinness World Record. People that year used to send me that shit all the time because I played like 3 or 4 times a week
Oh
easy.
wow.
Um, for a while. And granted, a lot of 9 holes, but now this year I played more at the beginning. It's Cleveland weather's getting to be a little rough.
Yep.
But generally the past few months, once or twice. I mean, once definitely. 2 times is good. Three is lucky for the past couple of months, but once or twice.
That's awesome. That's impressive. Good for you.
And a little fun fact too, just to throw it out. I have only been playing hickory golf for like the past 2 years now. Like I started in the same, not this past year, but the year before, couple months in, bought them as just to play them, here and there as like a
Yep.
novelty, and haven't put them down since.
Really?
So
Did you did you buy them from like a thrift store? Or did you actually like buy like high end like
the
He made them
same.
from the
Give
tree.
another little shout out to a great maker, Tad Moore,
okay.
from look him up. Super awesome guy, killer story.
You whittled
Makes
them?
like makes some of the best hickory golf clubs in the world. He's been making golf clubs since Kennedy was president.
Wow.
So I mean, he
For my
worked for
time.
McGregor.
Yeah.
Cool. Try and get him on the show. He's a real cool dude, full of history. But he makes replicas, so I bought a set of his replicas, and yeah, haven't put them down since. I mean, I've probably, like I said, I don't want my wife to hear it, but probably since I bought those, over 200 rounds of golf with them. So I've played a lot of golf the past 2 years.
Well, you put them to good use though, so that's solid.
I definitely have. I've
Yeah.
got my money out of them.
Um, I'll let you ask the food questions here. Actually, I'll let you ask the last two. Both the food question. Kind of took most of them.
Well, yeah, it's because you know what? When I'm looking at it, you know what's in the way?
What's in the way?
Microphone.
Okay. Here, let's switch it up. There you go. Can you see it now?
Well, yeah.
Okay, go ahead. Ask away.
Are we on the good one?
Just do this one. Yeah,
Hell
100%,
yeah.
yeah.
So you get to pick 3 celebrities or sports stars to play a foursome with. Who
Okay.
you picking?
3 celebrities and sports stars. Yeah, I probably end up being controversial. I'm gonna take Sean Connery. He's always had real
Okay.
interesting standpoints on golf. Uh, I'll take Sean Connery.
Don't get it.
Uh,
Do you not like golf?
let's
Sean Connery.
see.
Well,
Yeah, go look it up. If you look, he's had some interesting comments on it, but
Oh,
he was kind of a traditional guy.
yeah.
Um, you know, I'd probably actually take like Victor Hovland, play with someone like that. Super fun. Um, I'm not the biggest like fanboy of stuff, so like sometimes that doesn't click, but I'd probably go like more old school, like I'd want to play around with Jack. I'd want to play around with Jack. I'd want to, Lee Trevino. I'd probably lean more into playing with a lot of the older guys. That's who I'd want to pick their brains.
Would you play with the Hickory clubs as well?
I still would. I get made fun of every once in a while when people see them. But yeah, I have no intentions of putting them down. I took on Myrtle Beach with them and didn't have any issues. Played courses, probably didn't have any right to be playing with Hickory clubs, but haven't really had any deterrence from it yet. Yeah, lose a little distance over modern stuff, but no deterrence yet.
That sounds so fun.
Does.
Um, so what would your walk-up song be on hole one?
Mm, my walk-up song.
Like, what's
Oh,
gonna get you amped up and what's gonna get the crowd amped up?
Phil Collins in the air tonight. You got to bring
Oh
it
yeah,
in like right around
Classic.
that drum solo.
I like it. So we asked so pretty much all the rapid fire questions, and we really appreciate your time.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm gonna ask this one, and then I'll let Dom ask the last question that we normally ask. But favorite restaurant locally in your area? What would be your go-to spot?
Where are we eating
Oh,
in Ohio?
I'll tell you what. I mean, in the same,
Mickey D's.
there's so much good stuff. I mean,
Yeah.
technically, I would take you to Taco Bell. With my schedule, I'm not gonna lie. My schedule allows for
That's
Taco
where I'm
Bell.
going after this.
Um, but we actually have a ton of really good food. So this is like one of those things. Like if there's anyone from Cleveland listening, no matter what I say, it's gonna be wrong. But me and my wife go to this place called Don's Lighthouse. And I mean, it's nothing crazy, but it's just one of those places that it's quiet and it's super consistent. Like I've never had a bad meal there, so I can always go there. She gets her wine, her calamari, and I get a really good, and I know that I'm getting a really good steak. um so that's where I would go. Like I'm not gonna say that it's like the fanciest place, and there's probably better steak places, but I love that. We love it there. I love it too. So there, but in all honesty, Taco Bell or there is another taco place called Condado here that's pretty good that I would go to. So it all depends on what you want.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sold on Taco Bell, to be
Dom's
totally
out on
honest. I
tacos.
love
Yeah.
Taco Bell.
I can't complain about it, in all honesty.
I'm going after this. I have to place my order. Yeah.
Pretty excited about it. All right, Dom, fire away. Last question. Food related, of course. I didn't put it on here. It's just
Oh,
our normal
okay.
question that we ask.
So, you know, you're gonna die tomorrow.
Hopefully not.
Hopefully
Hypothetically.
not,
No.
knock on wood.
Oh,
Um, what
so
would you have for breakfast, lunch, and dinner? You could say Taco Bell for every meal, and you'd be my
Oh,
favorite person.
I I, I don't want to say that for judgment, and being judged by the Lord. But
I've had days I've gone to Taco
I'm
Bell
like a
twice.
soup. I'm like a super simple guy. I don't really eat breakfast, so it's just gonna be like some like bacon there. You're gonna slap me with some bacon. If I'm stuck here in Cleveland, I'm actually going to this place called TJ's Butcher Block, and I'm gonna get like a real fat deli sandwich for lunch, and then I probably am gonna get Taco Bell. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not going for anything fancy. That or I go to like a little bit more of a legit Mexican restaurant. But tacos, I mean,
Which ones?
if you ask my wife, I mean, I'll eat tacos and Mexican food 3 or 4 days in a row, and I'll go for a fifth day, and she'd have to stop me. And that's when I say time is a construct, and that
She
what
really
happened
loves you.
yesterday.
She'd let you go.
Exactly. But I probably would. I'm a pretty simple guy when it comes to that. But yeah, I mean, I like just a good roast beef sandwich. You give me a good open face roast beef, and I'm set too. So, I'm not gonna be picky with my last meal there.
what's your what would be your order at Taco Bell? Just like on an
Dude,
average day. Like what are you getting?
A super average, I'm just like feeding myself
Yep.
order is 3 hard shell tacos, 2 soft shell tacos, and 2 orders of chips and cheese, because I dip my soft shell tacos in the cheese dip. That's like the classic order. Um, I'm very upset that they took the volcano tacos away. If you're a Taco Bell fan, I don't know if they brought them back in your area, but they brought back the volcano taco in my area and then took it away from me again.
Teased you a
So
little bit.
yeah. So I'm a little upset there, but a cheesy gordita crunch, you can't really go wrong there. Or a nacho bel grande with no beans. I mean, you can't go wrong.
So in Minnesota, in the Twin Cities, I think specifically, they were testing out chicken nuggets from Taco Bell.
Really?
Oh, really?
You better believe I had some.
Were they good?
How
Yeah,
were
they
they?
weren't
How
bad.
were they?
They weren't bad.
How
You
about the
know, it's
breakfast
like
at Taco
The
Bell?
breakfast is good. They have this one. I don't mean to interrupt.
Yeah, sorry.
I'm
No,
pretty
no, go
pumped about
ahead.
now they're talking about Taco Bell. You can get a breakfast box, and I get this one. It has. Oh no, I'm sorry. This is a whole little separate item. They have this little burrito, breakfast burrito, if you will, because it's breakfast.
Mm-hmm.
Um, eggs, big chunks of potato, and then just nacho cheese.
That does
You
sound
can't
good.
really go wrong. I'll have to try it. The other one, the same, is that I have really warmed up to is Chick-fil-A. I don't think I ate it for like a decade of it being popular, and my kid loves it, so I have had to like become accustomed to it. So I've really opened up to Chick-fil-A too.
Their breakfast is
Uh
good.
I haven't had for
I
breakfast, but
have,
I do
and
like
that's the
them.
one I haven't tried. I haven't tried
Yeah,
Chick-fil-A's breakfast, so
It's pretty good.
have
They
to
have
go
a
mix
bowl,
that in.
and it's eggs, shredded cheese, like they do little circle hash browns, and then chunks of fried chicken, and then I put salsa on it. And that's super good. Also
And
from
now I
Taco
know
Bell, I've
where.
had this conversation with Greg from the Pinehurst Six.
mm-hmm.
The best breakfast item you can get and go golfing with is the breakfast Crunchwrap Supreme. So it's a
Oh,
Crunchwrap Supreme, but it's got a hash brown in it,
oh,
eggs, and then you can do sausage or bacon on top, and there's already hot sauce in it.
That
And,
sounds
that
good.
and
does.
it's no mess because it's wrapped in a tortilla shell.
Yeah. It's that does sound good. Does sound good. See, now I'm gonna have to go to Taco Bell too.
I'll
Now I
meet you
have to go
there.
there.
Well, thanks so much, man. It's been a pleasure. Keep up
Yeah,
all the
thanks for
great
having me,
work.
guys.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll try to get you on next year too. You know, I know you're
Yeah,
closed for this
anytime.
year for business, but yeah, we'd love to see what you got going on for 2024.
Awesome, man. Yeah, I'd love to come back on.
All right, appreciate it. Thanks so much. Have a good night.
Yeah, you too. Take care,
Take
guys.
care.
Yeah, and
Yep, thank you.
send me a message anytime, guys. For real, you can hit me up.
We'll
Or
do.
I'll do that. I'll bug
Yeah,
you.
yeah. Appreciate
Cool. Yeah, man. Take
it.
care, guys.
Thanks, you too.